So it turns out that in some situations, the government doesn't need to be involved for society to implement the efficient outcome when externalities are present. There was this economist, Ronald Coase, who in 1960 identified the conditions under which private individuals can come together and implement the efficient outcome through negotiation and bargaining. So I'm going to tell you what the theorem says first, and then give you an example to illustrate the theorem, and then we'll come back and talk more about the situations in which the theorem can and can't be applied. So the theorem says that when externalities are present, private individuals will agree to the efficient outcome if 1, property rights are clearly assigned and enforced, and 2, there are no costs to negotiation. So let's say that we have this some factory run by some guy named Harold. The factory emits pollution, and some of the pollution is discharged into a nearby river. There's a fisherman downstream named Kumar, and he's negatively affected by the pollution since it reduces the number and quality of fish he catches. So in other words, Harold's production creates a negative externality which is felt by Kumar. So let's say that Harold can install a filter which will eliminate the pollution. However, the filter increases his operating costs, and since he only cares about his own well-being and not Kumar's, of course he would choose to operate without a filter if there were no regulations. Let's make the situation a little more precise. The matrix shows the surplus occurring to both parties when Harold operates with and without a filter. When Harold operates without a filter, his surplus is $130 a day. You can see that in the upper right cell. Using a filter costs him $30 a day, so his surplus would fall to $100 a day when he uses a filter, which is in the upper left cell. Kumar's surplus is $100 a day when Harold uses the filter, but is only $50 a day when no filter is used and the water is polluted. So using a filter maximizes total surplus and is therefore the efficient outcome. Total surplus is $200 a day with the filter and $180 a day without the filter. The Coase Theorem says that if Harold and Kumar can costlessly come together and negotiate the use of a filter, they will be able to negotiate an outcome where Harold uses a filter regardless of who has the property right to the water. Okay, to see this, first suppose that Harold has the property right to the water. This means he can pollute the water as much or as little as he likes without paying any fees or getting permission from anybody. And in the absence of any agreement, Harold, of course, would not use the filter. However, since Kumar's surplus is $50 a day lower when Harold doesn't use a filter, Kumar is willing to pay Harold up to $50 a day if he uses the filter. From Harold's perspective, it costs him $30 a day to install and use a filter, so he would need at least $30 a day from Kumar. So clearly they can reach an agreement where Kumar pays Harold somewhere between $30 and $50 a day, and Harold would use the filter. So now let's change the property rights. Let's say that Kumar has a property right to the water, and this means that Harold must obtain Kumar's permission to discharge pollutants into the water. Harold is willing to compensate Kumar up to $30 a day to discharge pollution, but Kumar won't accept anything below $50 a day. Therefore, no agreement can be reached and Harold must use the filter. And notice that regardless of who has the property rights, the efficient outcome will be achieved. That is, Harold will use the filter. And there's no need for government to get involved and say, let's tax Harold for the pollution that he creates. Harold and Kumar can just come together and negotiate an agreement. So this result does indeed rest on the two assumptions of the Coase Theorem. So the first assumption, that property rights are clearly assigned and enforced, may not be valid. So for example, even if Kumar has the property rights to the water, Harold may still decide to dump pollution into the river if the penalties for doing so are not very high, or if he's unlikely to get caught because, let's say, enforcement is lax. It may also be the case that if the pollution shows up in the river, it could be difficult to trace the source of that pollution back to Harold, and so therefore Harold will be able to pollute in the river without consequence. Okay, so that's the first assumption, and the second assumption is that negotiation costs are zero. Of course, this is never really true since negotiation takes time and time has value. However, if negotiation costs are small, the efficient outcome can still be implemented most of the time. That's probably the better way to interpret the Coase Theorem. Problems arise, however, when negotiation costs are large. So for example, if hiring a team of lawyers costs Kumar the equivalent of at least $20 a day when Harold has the right to the water, the cost of negotiation plus the payments Kumar makes to Harold would add up to more than $50 a day, and Kumar would be better off just doing nothing and suffering with the dirty water instead. As a second example, a more realistic example, let's imagine trying to reduce air pollution in a city through negotiation. Air pollution comes from cars, trucks, and factories and conveys negative externalities on the entire city population. So it's absolutely ludicrous to think that we could implement the efficient level of pollution through negotiation and bargaining. There are just way too many parties involved, and it would be too hard to figure out each person's or each company's contribution to pollution. So in the end, the Coase Theorem does have its application in certain environments, but its relevancy is limited, and it's probably limited to situations where the number of interested parties is relatively small.